I even saw Harvey yesterday.
Okay, so Netivot Shalom, Parashat Vaera, right? Sefer Shemot, וידבר השם אל משה ויאמר אליו אני השם, right? So last week we end the parsha with Moshe complaining to Hashem, right? Literally. You send me to Pharaoh, you didn't save, on the contrary, it became even worse, they say, right? ומאז באתי לפרעה ועצה לא הצלת. So now Hashem is replying back to Moshe, and he's telling him, I'm Hashem. וארא אל אברהם, אל יצחק וליעקב, באל שקי. Right, so we need to know that Hashem's name have different type of attributes, תכונות. So he's telling Moshe, he's giving an explanation that he was showed to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in the name of Shin Dalet Yud. And he didn't appear to them in the Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei. Mishmi Hashem Avaya, right? Lo nodati lehem. To explain that the Anaga, the ruling, the behavior in the time of our Yitzchak and Yaakov was only in the name of Shakai. And we learned that before that the Shem Shakai is the name of Tzimtzum in this world. But in Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Anhaga, the ruling was with the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? So we learned that Elokim, for example, it's a judgment, it's fear, strength. Yud Kei Vav Kei, future, present, past, and mercy. And Shem Shaka is the name of Nero. It's like the Shamar Le'olamot Dai. It's the name of Tzimtzum. We can furthermore say on מה שכתב הרב הקדוש המגיד מקוז'ניץ, זכותו יגן עלינו. He said that when Hashem created the world, even before the creation, everything was already determined from the beginning of the creation until the end of time, and all the events and everything that will happen. Even if I'll do this and I'll do that, everything is already determined. War, exiles, somebody win the lottery, whatever. Somebody's wife is getting angry at him. Everything is already determined. But, אכן בתוך ההנהגה הטבעית, this is like the ההנהגה הטבעית. It means that it's the law of physics, the law of chemistry, whatever. Everything is already determined. We have rules, and Hashem is already scheduled everything. But within that, we have הנהגה פנימית, like an inner ruling. The same way, you have אופן בתוך אופן, like a tire and a tube inside. Right? That's an analogy. Today it's tubeless, not with Hashem. And this is הנהגה עליונה למעלה מכל סדר ולוח זמנים. It's above time and above what was determined. So one of the questions we can ask, if everything is already determined, then what's the point of life? Everything determined? No. And the הנהגה הפנימית, the one that is the one that Hashem can change things, it's according to על פי עבודתם של ישראל. שעל ידי זה שישראל מתנהגים על פי רצון השם, when we behave and act according to Hashem will, we have that power to change the schedule, to change what was determined. ואילו האדם הראשון היה עומד בניסיון, and if the first man was passing the test, and he wouldn't eat from the tree, right, from the fruit of the forbidden tree, then the whole world will be going into the final tikkun, the final fix, and that thing. We will not understand how the world will be like. It's unbelievable how it would be. And also, if we will not sin, and we blew it up the second time in the sin of the golden calf, the Chet HaEgel, the world should get into the final tikkun. We blew it up. And then other sins that we did, and then we have the destruction of the two Bate Mikdash, etc.
So, Giora,
yeah,
when you say everything is predestined, basically. So
yeah, but we can change it.
Yeah, but so Adam Rishon is his chet was also predestined. So we say if, but there's no if.
Yeah, that's a very heavy topic to talk about. Adam Rishon was not like a regular human being. Some said that he was considered to be like a Oved Avodah Zarah, because when he believed that the tree will exist before Hashem, and like the snake convinced him that if he will eat from the tree, he will be like God. So therefore, the tree exists before God. So God ate from the tree, and He created the world. So yeah, it's not simple. It's not simple. You're right. Sometimes the game is fixed, but let's stay here.
Okay.
Okay, let's stay here. So he says the same thing in the Maran Asaba Kadosh Mislolim Zechroto Alenu. They explain the contradiction of Chazal, right? He says, and maybe here you will get some kind of an answer. Adam nidon beRosh Hashanah, v'Adam nidon bechol yom. A person is being judged every Rosh Hashanah, every New Year, and a person is judged every day. So decide, is it every Rosh Hashanah or every day? So he said, okay, so now let's reconcile the contradiction, right? So he says, יש הנהגה, a ruling, על פי סדר וזמן הנקבעת על פי הדין בראש השנה לכל שנה. So there is a ruling, there is something that is scheduled and determined according to the din, to the judgment, every Rosh Hashanah, every New Year. But there is הנהגה פנימית, again, there is an inner ruling, a divine ruling, which is above the time and what was scheduled, and that Hashem ruled by itself. And it's not giving to any of the mazalot and any of the sarim and any of the angels. And it can change even if something was already determined. For example, somebody determined that he will get, I don't know, $1 billion in the lottery. Why? Because he's a great man and everything. And then he became wicked. So it's perhaps that Hashem will let him win the $1 billion, but 2 days after the mafia will come and will take everything, including his life. Okay, he got what he wants, but but that's it, right? Or rain's supposed to go down, and the people of the town, of the city, were really misbehaving. The rain will come, but not on the time and not in the right places. Instead of in the field, it will go in the streets. So that's like one like small example. But as I said, if we're going back here, we said that, okay, fine, a person is judged every Rosh Hashanah, and he have the power to change it because this is what Hashem can do. And this is also including in the dream of Yaakov Avinu. We said, "V'hine sulam utzav arza." There is a ladder on the ground, but the top is to heaven, and Hashem is standing upon him. So there is an hanaga like a sulam, and a sulam it's have steps. Sometimes we go up, sometimes we goes down, and we have the hanaga which is in the ground, and we have the hanaga, the ruling, which is it's in heaven, and Hashem is actually responsible to determine or to change things. And according to that, we can explain and understand Hanhagat Shem Shakai and Shem Havaya, like which these two. So Im Shem Shakai is the Shem Atzimtzum. It's a narrow thing. It's like one of the attributes of Shem that has or given boundaries, right? She'amar lo olamot dai. That when Hashem created the world, and this is one of the theories, I think that Einstein came up, and other ones, they said that the Big Bang, that everything started from a small little thing and then exploded and spread. This is a Kabbalistic idea. This is how it happened. But Hashem, in a certain way or a certain time, said, stop. Enough. Stop. Don't spread anymore. And then everything was in the sky. All the stars, constellation, etc., etc. Everything remained. Because Hashem stopped it, right? אמר לו עולמו די ונעצר על ערכיה מלהתפשט. And this is Shem Kakai. The main thing is הנהגה על פי סדר ומשטר. It's like law and order. This is how the world should work, by law and order. And that's the time of the forefather of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, that הנהגה, that ruling was by law and order in the name of Shakai, Shem Tzimtzum, which was only by the nature of the law of nature. Yes, there were miracles like Avraham Avinu in the furnace, and there are, but the main thing of the הנהגה was Shem Shakai. And the name of Havaya, Yudke Vavke, I was not known to them in this day because they didn't have the Torah at the time, and there was no miracles like they were supposed to be at the time. And only B'tziat Mitzrayim nitgalta bechinat hanaga b'shem Havaya. That the ruling of Hashem Yudke Vavke was revealed only during the redemption from Egypt. Even Paro, right? How is it possible that Paro said, "Who is God? I don't know God." But if you look at the pasuk, it says, "Mize Yudke Vavke." Who is Hashem? I don't know who is Hashem. Why? How come? Yosef the whole time who says Bedrat Hashem, Bedrat Hashem, but Yosef was using the word Elokim. Biladai Elokim yiftor et chalom Paro. So Paro knew that there is Elokim, name of judgment, name of fear. He didn't know about name of mercy, which is Yudke Vavke. And Tamashinu. So what happened? Why it needs to change? Suddenly the Hashem revealed himself in a different name. And another thing we learned last week, that when Hashem appeared to Moshe in the burning bush, and Moshe asked him, who should I tell him? Who sent me? Which name are you now? Which attributes now are you? And Hashem is telling him, Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, which Ehyeh is also like from the Yud Kei Vav Kei. And Ehyeh, it's something like I will be. But actually it was Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, what was, Ma Shehaya Haya. Now we're going clean slate, tabula rasa. We're starting with a new page. So said, what happened? Why this type of shinui, of change in the ruling in Yetziat Mitzrayim? He says, Hashem usually is not appear to us, or is not behaving in this divine ruling only when it's necessary. Therefore, in the time of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we could still, use nature's law and order, etc. There was no need for negativity. Yeah, there were some points like Sodom and Amorah, which the fire came from heaven, etc. But that was like for specific things, and very rare. So there was no need for Hanaga Tivit, which not in Yetziat Mitzrayim. Shall be Seder v'Tivut, because according to the law and order, we couldn't have a redemption, because, and it depends on where you're starting to count. If you're starting to count from the birth of Yitzchak, or from the time that they went down to Egypt. So if it was the time going down to Egypt, then you need to do 400 years of slavery. But it was only 210. And that's one of the questions that Moshe, because everybody knew the prophecy, and Moshe is telling to Hashem, I'll go over there, they think I'm crazy. We still have 200 years to do. So we couldn't wait, because we were in the 50 level of Tuma, right? זמן הגאולה צריך להיות בהשלמת 400 שנה, ועדיין לא הגיע הזמן. It's not coming, because we need to wait, right? 400 years. But Achishena, which is like the fast track, we didn't have the merit, לא היינו זכויות, because we were in the 49 level of Tuma. So no time to wait, otherwise we will go down, and no merit. So we're stuck. Because al pi hanaga tivit, by the law and order that Hashem created the world, we couldn't have a redemption. So Hashem need to lishbor et hakelim, break everything, and do whatever he wants now in order to redeem us. כמאמר הכתוב, right? בלי סדר, בלי כללים, כל דודי הנה זה בא מדלג על ההרים מקפץ על הגבעות. The sound, the voice of my dod is like the Shekhinah is coming and skipping, running over, jumping the mountain. And we learned it so many times. B'chinat al derech melech, right? The king is sitting on his crown, and the son is falling into a pit and is about to die. There is no time to call somebody that calls somebody to help him. The king ran with the royal, with the crown, clothing, and everything, and jump into the pit and saving the son. And this is it is, right? B'chinat imo anochi betzara, that Hashem is with us in the trouble. שיורד עם בגדי מלכותו לתוך הבור כדי לחלץ את בנו משם, to save his son. And that was the great revelation in the redemption, Shekol Dodi. In order for Hashem to save his sons, us, because we were really in danger, the 50 gates of Tuma was lack of emunah. That was the only thing that we left, right? Because when we're reading the Haggadah every year, the Midat Adin, the prosecutor, is complaining to Hashem. He said, why you want to save them? They are of the Avodah Zarah, and they are of the Avodah Zarah. There's no difference between them. Why protect you? So Hashem, no, I see to the heart, right? So we had only the faith. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, with no cheshbonot, no sending anyone, right, to do the job, לא מסנצ'ר אף אחד, right? ורומז בראשית, התגלות קדוש ברוך הוא, that Hashem was appearing to Moshe in the burning bush, and the bush was not consumed by the fire. Not only that the bush was also a bush with thorns, to show us that Hashem could appear in a nice orchid or something, like a nice flower, but no, inside the thorn bush, because he wants to show that he's also suffering. And the fire did not consume the bush, because this is the love to Hashem. It's infinite, burning like fire, but do not consume us. As Rashi explained, right? In the snare, משום עמו אנוכי בצרה. וזהו העניין, שהגאולה הייתה על ידי הקדוש ברוך הוא, right? Hashem himself was doing it, as we read in the Agadah, in the Parasha, I am Hashem, ani velo malach, ani velo saraf, ani Hashem b'chodei u'b'atzmi, right? I am Hashem in my own honor. So said, Lichora ma nafka mina. What is it doing? Like what's so great about it, or what's the inyan that it's by Hashem himself, or maybe through an angel? מדוע היה צריך לומר, right? גילוי הנהגה העליונה של אני השם בכבודי בעצמי. He said, but it's hinted that thing that the הנהגת מלאך ושרף, still an angel or a serpent, are under a tzimtzum. Again, they have boundaries, they have limitation, right? When you're complaining about something, you're calling the call center, you know that the first agent that you talk to him, he can do many things, but he's very limited. The supervisor above him can do more. And the more you go in the chain, right, they can have more power to do. They're not limited. So that's why we had Hashem. Hashem is unlimited. And because we couldn't have any limitation in the redemption of Egypt because we were stuck, no time to wait and no merit. And therefore Hashem couldn't give it to an angel or a serpent. Only him himself could do that. Lemala mikol tiviyut v'seder, above nature. And therefore that revelation at the time, that was the Yudke Vavke, the name. Right? The Shem Ein Sof. Because Shem Shakai have a boundaries. Shem Elokim, it's not that he have a boundaries, but it's true or false. There is no mercy, right? In true or false, in Emet, there is no chesed. It's very sharp. Or you did it, or you didn't. Yes or no? So that couldn't work for us in the time of the redemption. Only Hashem, Yudke Vavke, Ehye. It says, Ve'ine, in kol inyanei galut ve'geula. So exile and redemption are infinite, and they are related to the nation, and also shayachim lekol yachid ve'yachid, to an individual. That we need to go out from the 49 level or gates of Tuma that we synced in. And we need to learn from this parasha the way of redemption. והדרך שלא מצינו בתורה הנהגה ניסית אצל אבות, and we didn't find these miracles, ruling with miracle at the time of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, because it can or it should be revealed only for a specific time that is really needed. And that's why it was the time of Egypt. So if we understand this concept, then the same way, that's a path for us to achieve or to get to a individual salvation, individual redemption. That if usually we keep Torah mitzvot, we do whatever we need to do according to the rule and order, but sometimes we have the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination that is really working very hard on us, then we need to behave in a supernatural way, right? And that's a Mesirut Nefesh. And here we bring a story about a Nazir, somebody that is forbid himself from drinking wine and cut his hair, right? And suddenly the guy, what happened was that he saw his reflection in the water, beautiful face and beautiful hair and everything, and he was like, wow, I'm so beautiful. He cut his hair because he didn't want to be beautiful, because he understood that this is the Yetzirah, this is the evil inclination. And here we bring another story about Palti ben Laish, that he stick a sword. He was supposed to be with somebody, but somebody was supposed to be someone else's wife. So he stick a sword, right? And he said no. And Boaz, that he swear to in Hashem. That was a Mesirut Nefesh. This is something that we need to do when really the evil inclination is trying to seduce, to tempt us. We have to do it and fight him with all power.
Yeah, but if God give you a beautiful face with the beautiful hair, who are you to cut it?
So it depends how you treat it and how you feel about it. And that Nazir, we understood that, when he saw he never saw his reflection before. There are Gedolim, seriously, there was a story about, I think, the Chafetz Chaim, that there are Gedolim that they never look in the mirror. And one day, I think he was invited to some place or something, and they walked, and he saw somebody, and he bent, and he said, hi, and they told him that was a mirror. He said, I thought it's somebody else. He never saw himself in the mirror. Because it can, yeah. So anyway, so he said here, so the same way, right, we are behaving with Hashem, and we're doing like a Mesirut Nefesh, the Midah Keneged Midah. And when we are doing a small step here, Itaruta Dil Teta, then we're bringing upon ourselves the Itarut Dil Ela, the Shefa or whatever from Shamayim, from heaven, to bring us to a supernatural redemption. As the Baal HaKadosh said, right? Hashem tzilcha, Hashem iminecha. We said mizmor, right? Shir LaMa'alot. So what is Hashem tzilcha? Like Hashem is your shadow. The same way that the shadow is moving with us, whatever we do, when we do good thing and when we do really think in Mesirat Nefesh, Hashem will be like our shadow. He will do the same with us. This is how He will behave with us. You know, when we judge others, basically we're judging ourselves. Hashem give us scenarios and facilitating some incidents or whatever that we say, look at this, what he did, he should be da 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 da. Yeah, you just make your own verdict.
משל כבשת הרש.
Yeah, exactly. So he said, so when we're behaving the same way, Hashem will behave with us, and then will bring us to the individual redemption. And this is the inyan v'yid'u Mitzrayim ki ani Hashem, that the Egyptians should know that I am Hashem. That yeah, who cares about the Egyptian, right? But he says it's a hint for the part of the Egyptian that we have within us, with evil inclination and all the desire, etc. Then that part should know that I am Hashem. And Paro said, right? We just said that before. Paro ta'an, he claimed, I don't know who is Hashem. Why? Doesn't believe in the name of Yudke Vavke, which indicates on Anaga Al TV that there is a ruling not based on the law and order, the physics that Hashem created, the nature, right? Because Yosef Amar, Elokim Yanet Shalom Paro. Elokim begimatria Teva, right? So people say, I believe in the nature. Yes, of course, we believe in the nature too. But Hashem created the nature, and Hashem can change the nature, right? The world needs, because if you take a light and you burn your finger, you burn your finger. You can do it 100 times, it will burn. That's the nature of the flow, right? Or the law of nature. But now Moshe revealed him that the Inyan Hanaga Tivit, right? That was Yosef revealed him, but he didn't believe Paro in the name Yudke Vavke, which is supernatural, and therefore he said, I don't know who is Yudke Vavke. Not only that, that when we had the Makot, he couldn't understand. He thought that there are two rulers, two gods, because one God doing punishments and one God do mercy things. He couldn't understand how at the same time one God can do bad and good in the same time. How is it possible the Egyptians were suffering and the Jews having fun? How is it possible that all the animals of the Egyptian died, but not the animal of the Jews? He couldn't understand that. He says, so the same way, Shayach Hanaga Al Tivit, a supernatural behavior or ruling to bring us the private redemption by how? Mitzvat Kedoshim Tiyu, right? That we need to separate ourselves. Kadesh Atzmecha B'mutar, even the things that are permissible, we need to watch ourselves, because that's above nature and order, right? And he said, this is what the Torah is giving us. And the tzivui, the commandment is Kadesh Atzmecha B'mutar, Ba'anaga Shelemala Min HaSeder V'Ateva, above the nature and the laws. As the Moshe Katav Rambam, the Rambam wrote, B'inyan Mitzvat Kedoshim Tiyu, right? V'tzivui V'asita Yashar V'atov B'nei Hashem. Like sometimes it doesn't write, we don't have it in writing like what we need to do, but we know if we're doing something, if Hashem will like it or no, we know in the heart. We said these are mitzvot klaliot, like it's a general mitzvot on the thing that the Torah permit to us and told us that we need to lead kadesh beheter, right? To be with the woman, but only if she is married to us. V'lo gadra Torah kama, but Torah didn't give you like for how many times you need to do or whatever, because each and every one have his own anaga, his own character, right? And it says in each and every time, the nishmat adam telamden, right? Our soul will actually teach us to observe and to decide whether it's Hashem will be happy with that or not. And that brings us to Yetziat Mitzrayim. Ve'eze pa'ulot yechatzu, and which type of action will extract him from the darkness and from the Sharei Tumah that is sinking and bring him to his purpose, which is Yetziat Mitzrayim LaGeula, right? It's the redemption for us. And by doing that, Hashem will help us. So, Bezat Hashem, thank you for listening. And we finish with this part.